Please stand in body or spirit for our opening hymn. Welcome. Good morning. We are about to enter a sacred time. You make this time and this place sacred with your presence. Please turn off or silence your cell phones and turn down the volume on your fears and anxieties. Open your hearts and minds to new thoughts and ideas and ways of looking at the world. Let go of the expectations placed on you by others and those unreasonable expectations that you sometimes place upon yourself. Let go of guilt and shame. Now, let's each of us take a deep breath and be present in this beautiful sanctuary. Be here in this moment. Breathe. There is in each human a spark of the divine. The truth, sought by each in their own way, it grows and changes. The spirit of life, the divine, is present in this world, in our everyday lives. We are a people of love and acceptance and community. So please join me as we say our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. I'm going to ask Sarah to help me to light the chalices. It's time once again to light the flames of our chalices. It's a small action. They are but points of light in a vast universe. Alone, these flames will not light or warm even this single room. Yet, we light these chalices again and again and again. It's an act of faith. May our faith, like this light, offer illumination in dark places, dispel the shadows of ignorance and fear, and may they guide us on our way to wholeness and unity. It is our tradition here at UUCS to light 3 chalices as we begin our Sunday services. The first is for this congregation, all gathered here, all our members and friends, and all those in our hearts. The second is for our partner church, which is located in Šimenvalva, Transylvania, Romania. And the third is for the children and youth from whom we are currently borrowing this planet. Please join me in singing the flame into life. Rise up, O flame, So, as many of you know, during the regular season, we have time for all ages at this point. But during the summer, we are instead having mini day camps for kids. This week, they're focusing on sports, and all the children are outside today having a grand old time. And I'll tell you, as an ex-day camp director, it's an awesome place. So if you've got kids here in the sanctuary, there won't be a formal retreat or, leaving of the sanctuary today. I'll just say that you're more than welcome to head on back to RE and have a really good time. And this is going to be happening throughout the summer, so I encourage you to bring your kids along and have a really good time. I think I have allergies. Ours is a sharing community where joy and gratitude are shared, and sorrow is lessened by heartfelt compassion. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day, yet many people do not have independence. Independence of thought, independence of deed, or independence regarding their own bodies. Our nation has become divided, and we are at war. Not with guns and swords, for the most part, but with words and deeds, with hatred and fear, and such a sad and terrible lack of compassion. Whether you choose to celebrate the 4th of July this year or not, may each of us remember to honor and celebrate the inherent worth of each and every person and their self-evident right to independence. May we also remember that there is much to be thankful for. In the midst of all these troubles, it is essential that we take time to remember the joys and wonders that we experience every day. Whether you find joy in the sweet sound of music or the smell of the forest, or if you find wonder in the vastness of the ocean or the beauty of a piece of art or the love of a friend, there is so very much to be grateful for. Compassion and gratitude, joys and concerns. These we share, and in doing so, we become a community of loving and caring souls.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Klimowitz, and I'm a member of Lifeline's Lay Ministry, and we're a group of members that assist Rick with pastoral care. And the way you can communicate with us is there's instructions online, or you can write in the book that's in the foyer, and I will read the joys and concerns today. We have 3 concerns. This is from Lorraine Donaldson and Guy Hallman. We are sad to report that our dear friend, Lindsay Hauser, has been unexpectedly diagnosed with late-stage pancreatic cancer. She is at home in Portland with her loving family and under hospice care. Please hold thoughts and prayers for Lindsay and the Hauser family. And she's a great actress. She did a lot of character acting at the Pinnacle, and she also was an actress in Hollywood. The next one is from Janet Stevens. Her Aunt Mary had a double lung transplant last week. She's doing
Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Great, I'm glad you're here today. That's wonderful, thank you. To bless the space between us. In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight, when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. There he was, walking down the hall, his head bent, watching his feet. I don't think he was even aware I was there. For fun, I started walking directly in his path, wondering how long it would take him before he noticed that someone was walking towards him. It didn't take long, actually. He looked up, didn't even seem startled, just said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" I was playing pool. "Any news?" I asked, wondering when he was moving forward. "No," he replied, "no news," and went on his way. I went on my way too, pleased to have seen him, wanting to comment on his very short haircut and wish him well as he waits. He looked happy, content, and I was glad to hear he was active. I remember the day he left. It was sudden and totally unexpected. I spoke to people I knew who I hoped would reach out to him and follow him, telling them of his routine, likes and dislikes, what works, what doesn't. In the end, that's all I could do. My time with him was over. And then a thought came into my head. Be careful. I'm handing you his soul. I'm handing you his soul? Why, that's a little dramatic. What on earth was I trying to say with that phrase? I was apparently very concerned about this person and their continued success, but his soul? Was his soul in danger? I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. Likely his soul was fine. But I couldn't help think how it was almost like a parent sending their child off to school for the very first time. No matter how carefully you pick out the school or teacher, there's always that apprehension. Is it right? Is it good enough? Will my child be okay? Will the teachers and other kids understand and be nice? That bond between two people that happens through nurturing and helping someone grow is a strong one. And sometimes a parent, mentor, teacher just can't let go, doesn't want to let go. And I mean, what with shootings of school children, all the killings in the Ukraine and so forth, and now the recent Roe versus Wade decision, it makes sense we want to shelter our kids, giving them the best possible experience and prevent them from harm and suffering. Long ago, there was a king in India that did just that. King Suddhodana, who had a small kingdom just below the Himalayan foothills. One day, he and his wife had a baby boy, a beautiful child they named Siddhartha Gautama. Prince Gautama grew up in luxury. Confined within the castle grounds, he was shielded from the outside world. He had everything that was good and pleasant to see or hear or touch or taste. He was instructed by great scholars at the time, Brahmins, and trained in archery, swordsmanship, wrestling, and music. He loved to swim and run and watch the best entertainment that came to his father's kingdom. When he came of age, he married Gopa, and together they had a child, a boy, and they were very happy. He had everything he or his father had ever wanted for him, and he was preparing to follow his father's footsteps as the next king. Then, one day by chance, he snuck out of the castle walls and wandered into the village, and very quickly came across a sick man, an old woman, and a corpse being carried to the burning grounds. Nothing in his life of ease had prepared him for this experience. When his servant told him that all beings are subject to sickness, old age, and death, at first he was disgusted by what he saw, then saddened by so much suffering, and then realized that he had been sheltered too much in his life, and that he needed to know and experience what was out in the rest of the world, beyond his safe, enclosed environment he had grown up in. As he returned to the palace, he passed a wandering ascetic walking peacefully along the road, wearing the robe and carrying the single bowl of a sadhu, a holy man. These were people who owned nothing and owed nothing. They had renounced all worldly things. He then resolved to leave the palace in search of the answer to the problem of suffering. And so at age 29, he set forth to find his own path, leaving behind his wife and child and all the luxuries he had known. He spent the next several years studying the different teachers and methods, as we would say now, finding himself. He took in all he had learned from the ascetics and sadhus and practiced with such discipline and concentration that he wore himself out, physically and mentally, eating only 1 grain of rice per day, meditating for hours on end. And yet he felt he was no more liberated from experiencing suffering as that first day in the village when he saw the poor, the sick, and the dying. One day he wandered into a village in search of food. There, a woman named Sajada offered him a dish of milk and a separate vessel of honey. His strength returned. He washed himself in the river and then sat down under a Bodhi tree. He sat unmoving for 6 days, fighting all sorts of demons in his head, until suddenly he opened his eyes and everything was clear to him, and he realized what he needed to do for the rest of his life. At age 35, Prince Gautama woke up and has ever since been known as the Buddha, the awakened one. Ultimately, he learned that extremes of living, either as a complete ascetic or as a pampered prince, were not the way to find enlightenment. A more moderate approach, or middle way as he called it, worked best. and his wife and now grown son later joined him in his teachings. Prince Gotama had to learn on his own that there is suffering in the world. It can't be helped. And that the suffering we feel within ourselves is the attachment we have with whatever or whoever caused the suffering. He couldn't just be taught this idea, he had to experience it for himself before he could become the Buddha. His experience became the basis for what is known as the Four Noble Truths. Simplistically stated, they are the truth of suffering, the truth of cause of suffering, attachment, the truth of end of suffering, detachment, and the truth of the path, the Dharma, that leads to the end of suffering. Another way to say it is that suffering exists, it has a cause, it has an end, and there's a way to bring about its end. When I first heard this and thought the simplistic answer was that you were supposed to detach from everything, I thought, what about those I love? I can't detach from my feelings of love I have towards others. When I expressed this to a teacher, the reply back I got was, well, then you will suffer. Then I will suffer. Yes, if to love someone means that one day you will feel the pain of their loss, then yes, I will suffer. But it will be worth it, knowing the experience of love and connection between two souls. Love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Khalil Gibran writes in The Prophet. In his book, there's a passage that speaks to me about the duality of suffering and attachment. And a woman spoke, saying, "Tell us of pain." And he said, "Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so you must know pain. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And you would accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that pass over your fields. And you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. Much of your pain is self-chosen. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore, trust the physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. For his hand, though heavy and hard, is guided by the tender hand of the unseen. And the cup he brings, though it burns your lips, has been fashioned of the clay which the potter has moistened with his own sacred tears. Let's look at suffering again. There are life experiences I would imagine many of us would agree are suffering. Suffering from the death of a loved one, loss of a job, physical disability, natural disaster. All of these have legitimate emotional reactions that need to be acknowledged and accepted, and if possible, something done to relieve the intense suffering. But there are also sufferings like hurt feelings, waiting in line, no chocolate, waiting for the next Star Trek series to start. These are like stones in the path. They hurt when you step on them and then are gone. When we experience the suffering of letting someone go whom we have nurtured, these are the stones in our path that we must briefly endure so that they can be free to continue on their path. As Jack Kornfield said in The Art of Forgiveness, Loving Kindness and Peace, Peace requires us to surrender our illusions of control. We can love and care for others, but we cannot possess our children, lovers, family, or friends. We can assist them, pray for them, and wish them well. Yet in the end, their happiness and suffering depend on their thoughts and actions, not on our wishes. So I get that. Just as I have been allowed to be hurt and grow from the hurt, I need to do the same with others. So why again did I think, be careful, I'm handing you his soul? The concept of the soul is interesting, and to talk about the soul will elicit many opinions, especially in religious communities. That could cover several Sunday services. When the new religion of Christianity was developing their literature, the concept of individuals having souls in afterlife was commonplace in their part of the world, in part because of the Jews who were living in areas who were influenced by the Greek culture, including that of Plato, who envisioned an individual's soul reflecting a divine force beyond itself. The Hindus have the Atman, that piece of the Godhead within us. Martin Buber had the whole notion of I and thou, and that the deepest, most intimate relationships are when we recognize each other's thou, thou to thou, soul to soul. Or, if we are made of stardust, maybe it's the hydrogen ions in us recognizing the hydrogen ions in the world and out into the universe. Anyway, it's interesting to notice that the word soul continues on down through the millennia, trying to convey something more than our intellectual thoughts, our emotions, or the sensory stimuli of the world that we take in. And I wonder, when I thought, be careful, I'm handing you his soul, I wonder, was I referring to all the unique gifts and talents and interests and quirks and life experiences that made him a whole person? Trying to remind people that he wasn't just a number, an unknown stranger you could be polite to but not really know or care about. He was a person with his own likes and dislikes that was important. He had a thou within him that could be touched by another's thou if one took the time to listen and to connect. What I have learned for myself and for those that I nurture and love is that we all need both the security and nurturing, as well as a little suffering and pain from our own mistakes as we go along our spiritual paths, seeking our own truth and meaning and making ever new connections with others. Without the suffering, we do not grow, and without being allowed to suffer a little, we do not grow. What I constantly have to remind myself is that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And that experience needs both nurturing and suffering to fully blossom. By allowing that for ourselves, as well as for those we love and nurture, it fosters us, each, to explore our own path for truth and meaning in our lives. Now settle into your chair and close your eyes a moment. Take a deep breath in and out, and again in and out. And now bring to mind one person who has nurtured you in your lifetime. It may be a parent or teacher, spiritual leader or friend, someone who gave you unconditional love and support and helped you on your way. Hold their image in your mind and send your love and gratitude for how they nurtured you back to them. And feel the warmth between you. Now pause and take another breath in and out. And bring to mind someone you have nurtured and helped along their way. It may be a child or other relative, a student or friend. Hold their image in your mind and send your love and support to them. Know you have given them all you could at the moment, and that it is enough. Feel the warmth and connection between the two of you. That won't change, whether you are together now or not. Know that they are okay. And slowly come back to the room with all of us who also love and nurture you and appreciate your love and nurturance in return. Amen.
In this congregation, we encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise all that important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-sustaining church and its ministries. Our Share the Plate partner for July is the Oregon Black Pioneers, who work to preserve the history of Black Oregonians and honor their sacrifices by remembering their stories and sharing them with the public. As always, we accept donations for the Marion Polk Food Share in the little red wagon at the front of the sanctuary. Donations may be made during the passing of the baskets or by logging onto our website, uusalem.org, and following the prompts. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received. next Sunday. Hope you all can show up and hear Miss Barbara Stebbins-Bowes, who is sitting in the back of the sanctuary right now, if you have questions. Yeah, sorry. She's going to talk to us about friends. One of those all-important things for all of us to have. This friendship is very, very important. I have a special announcement to make. Also, for many of us, coffee is a very important thing. And for UUs, it tends to be a very, very important thing. There is no set sign-up yet for summer coffee. So if you can possibly help, that would be amazing. There is a sign-up sheet next to the coffee area in the fellowship hall. And we are desperate need of volunteers. Some folks showed up today and are helping out and bringing us some goodies, but we will need some more help with cleanup. So if you have a few minutes that you can hang out afterwards and help clean up the kitchen, that would be great. And especially, she didn't give me the name of whoever it is, but be sure and thank them for stepping in at the last minute to make sure that we all have treats. And please stick around after the service and enjoy some time together in the fellowship hall. The News of the Community is available in a lot of formats. You can go onto our website, uusalem.org. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up for our Friday update. Or you can always call the office, and they'll give you an update. So thank you. We look forward to that. So, Sarah, I'm going to ask you to bring forward the social justice lantern. We light this lantern every week as a gesture of our community and each of you that takes your light out in and shares the good works of this church with the community at large. Thank you. Now, there's still oil in the lamp of our community chalice, and yet it's time to put out the flame for this week. Next week, or perhaps sooner if there's some sort of special event, we will rekindle the light of these chalices and share time and love, truths, and our journeys together again. Until then, please take the spark of community you found here today and share kindness and understanding with everyone you meet. Our closing hymn will be number 1064. We're sticking with the teal hymnal today. Please rise in body or spirit.
Still
and join me in our closing words. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.